Much has already been said about the Mark IV Toyota Supra, a car that was considered too heavy and too expensive at the time, now fetches 10 times its retail price in the used market. This car represents both the pinnacle of Japanese sports cars and also the reason why after this car went out of production in 2002, Toyota didn't make another sports car for 1.5 decades. Plus there's the tiny matter of this car starring in the first Fast and Furious movie driven by Paul Walker, and the fact that if properly tuned, this engine can still put Bugattis and Koenigseggs of today to shame no problem, earns this car a kind of immortal status. Today, we take this Japanese icon to Italy and find out how the Mark IV Supra performs around the Imola.
Hi there, my name is Neil and welcome to my channel. So today is day 1 of this week, and this week we are at the legendary Imola in Italy. And look at the car we've got here. If you've already recognized this car, just calm down and sit in your place. And if you think this car looks familiar, it's the one Paul Walker drove in the Fast and Furious movies, the Toyota Supra Mark IV. So today we're going to find out how this legend of a Japanese sports car does at Imola. First I'm going to have this 5-lap race with 7 of the other Supras to try and find out what a fast competitive lap time in this car around this racetrack is. Then we're going to go hot lapping, trying to chase down the lap times that we have seen during the race, try and get consistent at it. Then we get to the breakdown, where we deep dive into the fastest lap that we have managed during the hot lapping session and get into every technical details like braking points, turn in, exit, stuff like that. As of now, join you at the end of the race. Right, I'm done with the race here. I just got the fastest time at 2 minutes 10.343. Pretty good lap, I must say. Although the car number 2 was close behind me at 10.373. I say close behind me in terms of fastest lap times. He obviously finished the race in front of me. Anyway, I also got the fastest first and third sector times, although I did miss out on the second sector by just 0.2 of a second. So overall, a pretty solid showing. Now, judging by the other cars here, the slowest time as I can see was done by car number 7, 2 minutes 11.375. Let's just say that's our window here. In fact, in the last lap, car number 8 did a 2:11.595. So let's just say we are looking at a window of a low 210 to a mid 211s. With that in mind, let's go to hot lapping. Okay, before we start, allow me to show you my setup here. As usual, I'm going to leave most of the default settings as they are. So tires, first of all, the default option is semi-slicks. It also has a street option and a street 90s compound, since this car is from the 90s. Good old days. We are going with the semi-slicks, the default option. The tires, all the benchmark times are set on. Apart from that, we are not going to change any of those. I'll come back to electronics later. Alignment, brake power, pit stop strategy, we're going to leave everything in its default settings. Apart from the traction control, I mean, this is just a 280 horsepower car, so we are going to leave the traction control off. ABS will remain on, and with that said, let's go driving. Okay, here we go. We are starting our session here. Now, this lap is going to be no good because the tires are currently very cold. See what I mean? So let's just take this opportunity to talk about this car a little bit because there is a lot to talk about. The Supra name was originally debuted in 1978 as a slightly bigger, more powerful version of the Celica called the Celica Supra, and the car was officially called the Celica Supra for its first 2 generations, up until it was replaced by the 3rd generation, the A70 or the Mark III model as it's more commonly known, in 1986. Then, in 1993 came this model, the A80 or more fondly known as the Mark IV Supra. This was powered by a 3-liter straight 6 engine, and not just any 3-liter straight 6 engine. This is probably the most famous, if not one of the 2 or 3 most famous straight 6 engines of all time. The legendary 2JZ. Now this engine came in a naturally aspirated version named the 2JZGE and a turbocharged version, the one we have got here, which was called the 2JZ The Japanese variant was limited to 276 horsepower, like we have discussed in day 1 video of last week when we drove an RX-7, which also had 276 horsepower. In the 90s, all the Japanese sports car manufacturers came to a gentleman's agreement that they'll limit their cars' horsepower to 276. When this was exported to USA, the engine was upgraded to have around 320 horsepower. The one we have got here in the game, it's the Japanese version. What makes this engine so legendary though? Given that it's tuned by people who know what they're doing, this block, at least the cast iron block, it could handle over 2000 horsepower. And once people discovered that, all hell broke loose. Today, you'll be hard pressed to find a stock Mark IV Supra. And if you somehow manage to find one which is at least close to its stock configuration, it will probably go in auction for, I don't know, 3, 4, 500,000 US dollars. This is one of the most reliable engines ever to grace the face of the earth, which is why these cars have been drifted, drag raced, whatnot, and they still run. Both the NA and the turbocharged cars were rear-wheel drive. This car throughout its life cycle came with 3 gearboxes, a 6-speed manual, a 5-speed manual, and a 4-speed automatic. Today, the Toyota Supra, it may be in high demand, but a Supra automatic is still something people scoff at. Now, capable this car might have been, but to be honest, this earned its fame, at least most of its fame, from the Fast and Furious series. I miss what that franchise was. This car, side by side with a few others like the Mazda RX-7, the Nissan R34 Skyline, which will be featured at some point in this channel, so subscribe. They really were the flag bearers of Japanese sports cars, JDM cars as they are more fondly known to the rest of the world. Despite going out of production in 2002, this car has now found its successor, the Mark V Supra. It came out in 2019 after 17 years of there being no Supra in the market. Basically a heavily re-engineered version of the, not even heavily, what I'm saying, a moderately re-engineered version of the G29 series BMW Z4. It's still a compact sports car, it's still rear-wheel drive, it still has a straight 6 turbocharged engine, but now the current gen model is designed by the Germans and is built in Austria. Alright, at this point this car is pretty old and requires proper concentration to drive fast. So I'm just going to shut up and concentrate on driving for the next few laps while you enjoy those laps. Alright, I said that's enough. I'm calling it a day. I'll let the car cool down a little bit. And meanwhile, let's go take a look at the lap times. Wow, a 16 lap session, which is not bad if you consider that each lap was over 2 minutes long. Although the fastest time was a 2:10.463, which doesn't beat my fastest lap from the race. It's slower by 0.1 of a second. So it's still quite a solid lap. We will go with that. Looking at the sector times here, 36.675, a 50.687 and a 43.101. A couple really bad laps in lap 6, lap 8 and an exceptionally bad one in lap 15. Well, I went off the track twice in a single lap. Okay, the fastest lap, as I said, is a 2 minutes 10.463, and here is the breakdown.
Beginning at the start finish straight, starting the lap, going across the line flat out through turn 1, coming up is turn 2, 3 and 4. Keep an eye on the green wall on the right. At its end, you'll see that orange marking over there. When you reach that, brake hard. Release brakes as you enter the corner. Once you pass the apex, hit full throttle. After that, flat out through turn 3 and 4. Coming up is turn 5 and 6. Look out for that 150 meter marker on the right side. Midway between those two, give it a short dab of brakes and get back on throttle through turn 5 and again hit brakes. Release them as you enter turn 6. As you get past the apex, get back on throttle. Moving on to turn 7 now, which is a hairpin. Look out for that 50 meter marker on the right. As soon as your car is completely past that, hit your brakes hard. Again release brakes as you enter the corner, look for a mid to late apex and accelerate on the exit. Flat out through turn 8, next corner is turn 9. Again at the 50 meter marker on the right side, hit your brakes hard. Release again and accelerate gently out of turn 9. Flat out through turn 10 again. Brake once again at the 50 meter marker for turn 11. Get back on throttle and brake again for turn 12. Once you're past turn 12, accelerate and flat out through turn 13. From there, it's a straight way down to turn 14 and 15, which is a chicane. Brake halfway between the 50 and 100 meter markers here. Use both the inner curbs in turn 14 and 15 and gently accelerate out of turn 15 now. Moving on to turn 16, flat out through turn 16. For turn 17, brake right at the 100 meter marker on the right. Hold your brakes before you let go at the entry of turn 17. Once you get past the mid-corner apex, gently get back on throttle and give it a short burst of acceleration. Dab of brakes before turn 18, look for a late apex and accelerate hard out of the exit. From there, it's flat out through turn 19 as the turbos flutter and the 2JZ screams past the start-finish line in a 2 minutes 10.463.
So that's a wrap for today. Let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment box below. Also, if you have any preference of cars or tracks that you want to be featured in a future episode in this channel, let me know about those down in the comment box and I shall try to do them. While you're down there, hit your favorite buttons, the like, share, subscribe and the bell notification icon, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, drive hard, drive safe. Take care.